welcome to another edition of Main Street Connect's FCIAC Football Fast 5. Everything you need to know about Fairfield County High School football, all in 5 minutes or less. With me once again is former Stanford High School head football coach and professional football scout for JL Sports, Kevin Jones. Kevin, great to have you here.
It's great to be back.
All right, we have reached the halfway point of our season. We're going to kind of recap the season, but first, let's get back to our last week's game of the week. New Canaan handled Norwalk. Now the question is there anything stopping a New Canaan Staples FCIAC final?
Yes, Darien. They're going to play in 2 weeks, Darien and Staples, and I think that game's going to determine who goes to the FCIAC championship game. Now, we mentioned last week that Greenwich had the inside track, but you got to remember it's a point system, and strength of schedule plays into that. Greenwich's remaining opponents only have 6 victories combined, so they probably won't have enough points even if they went out to get into that game. Whoever wins Darien and Staples in 2 weeks is going to get a huge amount of points, and that's going to kind of catapult them into the FCIAC championship game if they win out. Now, the ironic part is, with Greenwich sitting in 12th place in the Class XXL playoff standings, they're probably going to have to root for Staples to knock them out of the FCIAC game and beat Darien so that they can go beat them on Thanksgiving Day and get those extra points, which may get them into the playoffs.
All right, let's get into recapping the season so far. We're halfway through it. Which team has been the biggest surprise to you so far?
Well, I'm going to go with a city, and that city is Norwalk. And I'm going to say that because the Norwalk Bears started, they're 4-1. They had a loss to New Canaan. It was a pretty good team last week. But to start 4-0, they're sitting at 4-1. They're in great shape for the rest of the season. Very surprised. No one thought this was going to happen this year. And the Brian McMahon Senators, you know, they're 2-3, but don't let the record fool you. They are the toughest out in the league right now. Nobody wants to play them. If there's a chink in your armor, they're going to find it. They finally got that fourth quarter victory last week that they needed against a tough Wilton team, and they may be a really tough win for anybody going down the stretch of the season.
All right, and sticking with that thought, question 3, which team has been the biggest bust so far?
I'm going to stick with my theme here. I'm going to go with a town, and that town is Trumbull. We thought that Trumbull High was going to be a very good football team, a very tough physical team that could run the football, and it looks like they are, but they can't figure out a way to win. They're 2-2 right now, and I respect that staff and I respect that program. I think they can get it turned around, but it may be too late if they don't do it right now. And St. Joe's coming off back-to-back state championship victories. I know they lost a lot of leadership on that team, but they have a big team. I've seen them play live. They're very physical. They should be better than 1-4. They won last week finally, so maybe they're going to get back on track and start winning some games here.
All right, question 4. This one might be the most obvious question we've had all season. Who is the first half MVP so far?
I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to say Matt Milano from New Canaan because he's completing 62% of his passes, 1,242 yards, 14 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He's got a 101 quarterback rating, and he's rushed for 4 touchdowns. I think when you look at him, he's experienced. No one's more poised than him when the pressure's on. He gets it done in the clutch, and he's surrounded by a bunch of teammates that believe in him. So I'd be really surprised if we weren't talking about him in December during our wrap-up show as being the league MVP for the year.
Yes, some Tom Brady-esque fourth quarter drives there. Pretty amazing stuff from Mr. Milano. All right, once again, that'll bring us to our Main Street Connect Game of the Week this Saturday, 2 p.m., Wilton at Darien. Is Darien going to get caught looking ahead next week to Staples, or is the young Blue Wave squad going to cast aside the doubters this weekend?
A Game of the Week probably should have been Staples-Trumbull, but with Trumbull's stumbles here along the way, we're going to go with this Wilton-Darien game, and for good reason. Darien, we talk about how they're a young team and they're coming of age. Well, they're 5-0. They've got the inside track to get into this FCIAC championship game. They can't look ahead to that Staples game. They've got to win this game. At times, they still show their youth. 4 turnovers last week against Trumbull. Trumbull couldn't capitalize. It'll be interesting to see how this game plays out. And if Darien can win this game in convincing fashion, I'm sure they'll be ready for that matchup against Staples next week.
All right, and we'd be remiss to not mention the passing of Jerry McDougal, one of the all-time greats in the FCIAC. Kevin, what are your memories of Jerry?
Well, I think you have to talk about Jerry's record as a coach. All right, if you knew Jerry like a lot of us did, we know that we lost one of the good guys when he passed away last week. But take a look at some of the stuff that he did as a coach. 265 wins as a football coach, 3 state titles. His 86 team finished 9th in the USA Today polls, one of the greatest teams in Connecticut history. He also had 510 wins and 2 state titles as a baseball coach. He was named National Coach of the Year in both sports on different occasions, and he's been inducted into 7 different Halls of Fame. Fittingly, the league championship trophy will now bear his name, so the winner of that game right before Thanksgiving will be receiving the Jerry McDougal Trophy.
All right, that'll do it for another week of questions answered in the FCAC. Until next time, I'm your host, Eric Gendron.